Hello, hello, everyone. Happy Connect Wednesday. It is another beautiful second Wednesday of the month where we get to come to you through these beautiful screens and have the conversations regarding financial well-being, which is a topic that most of us should, and I use should very, very, very lightly, but that most of us should put time and intention into. But a lot of us may, probably most likely me in a past life, avoid it themselves. So my name is Kira. I'm the virtual events coordinator at LifeGuides, and I get to curate these really fun events where hopefully we get to up level all of the different layers of your life and give you actionable steps to make your life a little bit better, to enhance your well-being, to have more accountability, to have more growth, and everything in between. So you've got me, Kira, and we have Ben. He might either be above me or below me or to the side of me, depending on how you're seeing this. But we've got Ben. He's above me, so that's why you got this. Ben is one of our guides. He's also the head of our client success team, and him and I like to partner up and give you guys all the wisdom and all the insight that we have to help you grow in the direction that you're looking to grow. Because I don't know about you, but for me, growth and personal development are top tier of importance in my life. And hopefully that's the same for you. And if not, then maybe we'll get you there. Maybe we'll make it fun. Maybe we'll make it exciting. So, we are on part 2 of our financial well-being series. And this is our mastering momentum conversation. So I want to know before we even drop 111 in the chat if you were on last month's financial well-being connect session, where we were basically unlocking our financial well-being and now we're mastering the momentum towards it. Super, super curious. Let's see what we've got in the chat. Yay, welcome back, everyone. I also have another question, and some of you may have been on it, some of you may not have been on it. We had an exclusive group session the following week where we had some guides help you in real time get even more clear on your financial goals and what your financial well-being looks like. So drop 222 in the chat if you were on that call. Yay! Oh my gosh, look at you, Kimberly, Kateria. That's a beautiful name. Hopefully I said it right. Chris, Justin, you guys are amazing. This is beautiful. Okay, cool. So we've had some engagement. We've had you all showing up. And basically what we're doing on this call is giving you more insight and more guidance. Also giving you a space for accountability where you have the ability here to be like, okay, I set a goal last month. I've worked really hard towards it and I'm making progress and I'm excited to keep up the momentum. Or I set a goal last month and life is crazy and there's no way that I was able to even focus on it, but I want to build that momentum back up because my financial goals matter to me and getting to where I want to go and no longer having financial stress really matters to me. So we have quite a bit to dive into. The first thing that I want to inquire about is if any of you have started using a guide for your financial well-being since the last conversation that we had together. Drop 333 in the chat if you have used a guide to help you. Yay, look, this is so good. Cool, cool, cool. A guide to help you get there, right? So we have two people who have absolutely, yes, used the guide to help them get there. I'm curious if you want to let us know in the chat how that experience has been for you. It can be a lengthy response, or it can be like, it's been really good. Or you can be like, oh my gosh, I've had $0 in my savings account in the beginning of this, and now I have $120 in my savings account. Even that is a win. And sometimes we forget that the little wins are wins, but the little wins are so important. And just like Justin says, it has been extraordinarily helpful. That's a big word. Extraordinarily helpful, not just like your basic level of helpful. It's beyond ordinary. That's what you get when you have a guide. And I can say that from experience. I have a guide who helps me with my financials, and my whole financial mindset is so shifted. My confidence around money is so shifted. My confidence around being able to keep my goals in mind is so crystal clear. And that it just feels good to know that you're in control of your own situation and that you put yourself in a place where you have that and where you've given yourself the ability to do that. So what we're going to do, some of you might remember that we did a poll last month for the 7 stages of financial well-being. So I'm going to share the screen so you all can see what the 7 stages of financial well-being look like. Ben is going to give us a little bit of a refresh on all 7 of them while I go get my notes for the results from last month. And then we're going to get real fresh, real-time results. We'll put another poll on the screen to see where you all are in your financial well-being right now. It might be exactly the same, or maybe you moved up a step, maybe moved up a few steps. Who knows? So we'll see. Look at this. Kimberly says, I had $0 in my savings account in the first workshop, and now I have $466.30 in my savings. And Kimberly was also one of the ones who had a guide. So before I pull the screen up, I'm curious, for those of you who didn't have a guide, how did that go? And Ben, do you want to share that accountability statistic while we're on this conversation?
Yeah, I'll remind you. So if you have a goal and you tell somebody, you have about a 67% chance of accomplishing that goal. But if you have an accountability partner, that stat goes up to 95%.
95%. It makes complete sense. There was a 95% chance that Justin would hop on this conversation and say that having a guide has been extraordinarily helpful. There was also a 95% chance that Kimberly was going to say, I had $0 in my savings account and now I have $466.30. Congratulations. Okay, I'm going to share my screen and get that poll pulled up for, or not the poll, get the 7 stages of financial well-being pulled up for us. And Ben, if you'll just give a little re-intro to the 7 stages, and then I can pull the poll back up and we can dive in.
Absolutely. So everybody can see this, so I'm not going to read it all, but I'll just briefly go starting from 1 down at the bottom, all the way up to 7. So you'll just think to yourself, where am I today? And Kira's going to share results from last time, and we're going to compare results, how we've grown and how we've progressed. So number 1, financial chaos. You're feeling fear, guilt, and shame. You're pretty much avoiding all things finances. Financial avoidance is specific avoidance. It's just a level up where you're not overwhelmed. There's confusion and insecurity and frustration, but you do know a little bit about your random savings and the fact that you have no advisor. 3 is financial awareness. So now you've begun to be curious. You might feel some trepidation, but you're willing to learn and willing to do something about it. Financial stability, number 4, is you're feeling relief and a sense of accomplishment and still cautiously optimistic. Financial security means you're feeling confident, in control, and open to continue to learn. Financial freedom is where you feel a sense of achievement, thinking what's next, and starting to think, okay, great, how else can I grow? And financial fulfillment is where you say, I have enough, and now I can focus on giving.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that recap, Ben. And I would like to share with you all the results of last month, and then we can go in and see where we're at this month. And even for me, my financial well-being has changed significantly since last month. I have a guide that I talk to every week. So I know every Tuesday we're going to talk about my money. And even if I didn't do anything that week, just showing up and talking to a guide and being sometimes we have an hour long call where we're just like talking about the things. And I'm like, how do I navigate this? How do I navigate this? What do I do? And other times I had a crazy week and where I'm actually like doing the things I was supposed to do throughout the week on that call. And she's just sitting there helping me do that. So it looks different. And either way, it helps me move forward in my goals. So we had 32 people respond to our poll last month. And this is where we were last month. We had one person in financial chaos. So that was about 3% of the call. We had 5 people in financial avoidance. That was about 16% of people on the call. We had 17 people in financial awareness, which is about 53% of the call last month, which is amazing. I feel like that's such a great place to be. We had 6 people, about 19% of the call, in financial stability. We had 2 people, about 6% of the call, in financial security. 1 person, 3% of the call, in financial freedom, and then 0 people in financial fulfillment. So hopefully this has given you all a little bit of time to think about where you're at now. And I'm going to pull that poll up so we can see where we're at. Launch. Okay, the poll is up. It should be right on your screen. Where do you currently fall on the financial well-being scale? For me, Probably still in financial awareness, personally. Cool. We've had 3. Ooh, look at you guys putting in your answers. I love this. Fun. It's so fun watching the results come in. So it looks like most people are in between financial awareness and financial stability. Ooh, we've got some financial security. I think that one person who is at financial freedom is still there, which is really amazing. So we have 14 out of 22 who have responded. So I'll give you all just another moment. It tells me actually how long we've been on this poll. We've been on it for 56 seconds. So, yeah, I'll give you all maybe like 15, 20 seconds more, and then we will continue on. Okay, beautiful. So I'm going to, ooh, someone just put in their answer. Okay, well, this is where we're at currently in the poll, and I am going to end it now. So you've got 3, 2, 1. Okay. The final answers you will see, they should be shared right on your screen. Ideally, it said I could share, but I will read it off as well. So we've got 0% of people in financial chaos. Either the person who was in financial chaos last month is no longer here and just isn't on this call, or maybe they changed and they were the one person who's in financial avoidance on this call, which is 6% of the call. We have 7 people in financial awareness, about 44%. We have 6 people in financial stability at around 38%. So to see the financial awareness and financial stability be neck and neck is really beautiful, because we had 53% at awareness last month and only 19% at stability last month. So that has gone up significantly for financial stability. We have 1 person in financial security, 1 person in financial freedom, and then 0 people in financial fulfillment. So it looks like we've grown. Drop 444 in the chat if your financial stance changed in a positive direction over this past month. I'm going to stop sharing these results. So many things on my screen, it won't let me stop sharing. There we go. Okay. Yay. Beautiful. So we had 4 people go up in the past month in where they are in their 7 stages of financial well-being. That's huge. That's a huge game changer. So congratulations on that, and for putting in the work to get to where you would like to go. That's everything that we do. The whole reason why we've put this series together isn't just because it sounds cool to do a financial well-being series, even though it does. It was because we wanted actual tangible results for each of you, and to see that that's a real thing is really the biggest indicator of success for Ben and I, taking the time out of our day to make sure that you have what you need to get to where you want to go. So I want to show you guys just last month's financial well-being worksheet, and we have a new one for this month that we'll share with you as well, just so that you can know where we were last month and where we're going now. So last month, we had our financial well-being action plan. Actually, Ben, why don't you walk us through it? You're so much better with this.
Happy to. Thank you. So yeah, she's sharing the screen, and we will put the link in the chat as well if you were not here last month. Either way, all of you will have this form so that you can stay on track throughout this entire Connect event, this 3-part series. So remembering, the very first part is your envisioned success. So it's not a standard goal like we usually talk about. Oh, I hope this happens. You're already putting yourself in a place of success. I have already achieved this. I already live this way. I feel this way. So present tense, strong language that describes your financial well-being. So in essence, you're already successful today. Then if you scroll down, Kira, this is where, because we don't want to make things too complicated, right? We'll talk about lots and you'll have lots of ideas, but ultimately, baby steps take you forward, right? Sometimes we focus so much on the large step that we never take it, but baby steps move you forward. So yeah, there you go. Kira put a great one. Your action item, as an example, is find a guide. And whatever it is, we want you to have one specific action item per event. And at minimum, you will be 3 steps farther ahead than you were at the beginning of this event. And then scroll down to the very bottom. Good. And then this is where you just document, hey, how helpful has it been with my guide? What did I talk with them about? And it just further cements the fact that having an accountability partner that is a guide who's been there, who can relate, and who cares can help you move forward in a faster and more effective way.
Beautiful. Yay. So obviously, as you all can see, it is a fillable form. The link is in the chat for you, and you can just fill it out and use this as something when you're on your guide call. So this was last month's form. This is not the one we're using now. However, we wanted to make sure that you at least could see the trajectory and the growth that we're doing over these couple of months. But we do have an updated form for this month that we'll be using.
Excited for this part. So everybody here, we've been spending roughly 10 minutes on reviewing and reflecting and celebrating what has been happening. Okay, because this is so important. Sometimes, especially on a big goal or a stressful goal or an uncomfortable goal like finances, because maybe it's not super normal for us, we can just focus on where we're not. We're not there yet. It's a big goal and I still haven't made it. Oh, I didn't do everything that I thought I would. And it can become discouraging, and that's why we lose our momentum. I mean, many people probably came to this call last month and said, wow, this is exciting. I have my envisioned success. This is cool. And that excitement may have stuck with you for a day or two. And then the next week, you're like, and what am I supposed to do? That's possible because it happens with everybody. But what I have learned and what is so powerful is that we first spend strategic time celebrating wins, because there are always wins. Put a yes in the chat if on the financial well-being chart, if you go from a 1 to a 2, is that a win? Put a yes in the chat if that's a win. From a 1 to a 2. It absolutely is, even though you're still in financial avoidance. So if you just look at it as, yeah, I'm still avoiding finances, I guess that's a failure. No, you have to see your progress. You have moved and you're going in the right direction, which is key. All right. So what we're going to do for the next few minutes is together celebrate with each other. This is super fun to do if we were on a meeting where we could see and hear you, but we're going to have some fun in the chat. All right. So what I first want you to do is wherever you are, get yourself in a place where you're like in a position where you can celebrate. Okay. Nobody celebrates like this. Yay, that was fun. Right. Nobody does that. But if you're in a place of power, if you're at work, if you're at home, wherever you are, just sit up and get some energy into your body. I'm tapping my body because that's what happens. You engage your physiology so you can celebrate. Because again, nobody celebrates like this. Okay. Kira's got it. So you put yourself in a place of celebration, and I want all of you to put something in the chat of what has been your biggest win or breakthrough through the last event. We're going to celebrate with everybody. So I want every single person on this call to put something in the chat, and I want you to celebrate somebody else. So for example, when Kimberly put it in the chat earlier, hey, we celebrate her. She put it in and you celebrate in the chat. Go, Kimberly. That was amazing, right? We're going to celebrate with each other. So again, you are sharing in the chat what has been your biggest win or breakthrough since the last event. And when you put that in, then find somebody else in the chat to celebrate. Call them out by name. Hey, Viviana, that was amazing. Good job, right? And we're going to celebrate with each other and we're going to build that momentum. Hey, there you go. Viviana says, I had my first call with a guide and we made a plan. Boom. Look at that. That's amazing. And my biggest breakthrough was setting a budget with my guide for my trip to Puerto Rico and only going over my budget by $8. Ooh, how'd that feel?
It felt so good. I was like, it was like midnight when I was calculating everything. I'm so excited to talk to my guide and tell her because I've never done that. I've never had a budget for a trip. I can be frivolous when I want to be, but it was actually felt so much better not being frivolous.
Yes, good. And again, I want to emphasize this because if we don't do it in the manner that we're doing it with accountability partners, celebrating together, learning together, and having a vision, then we could still see it as, hey, you went over by $8. You still failed, Kira. What the heck? But no, that's not what it is. She progressed in amazing ways, and you saw how she feels about it. So good. $8 over is a whole lot better than what she used to be doing. I mean, I don't know, but good. So Harold says, sat with an advisor last week to reallocate money. That's huge. These steps, they're not just one and dones, right? They're setting you up for the future. And then we get to play with the, I forgot the word, with interest, where expounding interest, right? It goes in the positive way to us instead of playing the negative game with debt. So well done. Good, celebrating each other. I love this. Came up with a plan to pay off my mortgage early. Ooh, that is good. That is good. Again, you're playing the long game. So it may be a little tighter now, maybe a little different now, but eventually you're going to have more money and more financial freedom because of your planning today. Viviana shares, only going over by $8 is awesome. It can be so hard when you're on vacation and having a good time. Yeah, because, emotions play a part in our decisions, don't they? Budget schmudget, right? I'm on vacation. I don't need to follow a diet. I don't need to follow a budget, whatever it is, right? We can be strict, but here's what's cool. When you have a budget, it doesn't mean I can't do anything because I have a budget. A budget says I have allocated money. So if you're still planning to splurge on something on your vacation, put it in your budget. You don't have to feel guilty about it. How cool is that? Good. Celebrating each other. Let's see if I missed any. Kimberly canceled nearly $100 in subscriptions I wasn't making use of. How awesome is that? Now, generally, subscriptions are monthly, right? So she just saved herself $1,200 a year through one thing in 1 month. How good is that? You just gave her a $1,200 a year raise. Congratulations. Let's see. Okay, good. So there's lots of good comments coming in. I want to see from everybody something to celebrate, even if, and this is a part where our emotions play a role, and sometimes our thoughts get in the way. Well, I didn't go on vacation. I didn't talk to an advisor. I didn't save this much money. So maybe I don't have really wins because I set some goals and I actually went way over my non-existent budget this month. We could be in a place of, well, do I really have a win? You absolutely do. If at minimum, it's because you showed up today, that is a win. Why? Because that puts you in a place of financial awareness. You're willing to learn, willing to change because you care about getting those different results. So you always, always, always have a win to celebrate. Good. Patty updated my checkbook. Hey, there you go. See, just tracking what is going on is a huge step. I've helped many people do that, and myself included. When I first married into the family, so my wife, she'd been married before, but her husband passed away. And so, of course, we had to combine our finances. And we just had to decide, what's it going to look like? Are we going to ignore things for a while? But no, once we started to see exactly what we were doing, then we could say, oh, maybe I should tone this down, or we have some money to put somewhere else. So just the fact that you're knowing what is there, that's awesome. And good celebration coming in from everybody. Paid in full in progress. Right, Patricia. Good job. Okay, well done. So some good wins. I want to share a quick story, and then we're going to move on to our next subject. But why do we celebrate wins? Put a 5 in the chat if you enjoy or at least are familiar with American football. I say American because, hey, football could be soccer, but put a 5 in the chat if you're familiar with American football. Yes, good. So here's an interesting question. The goal of a football game is, yes, to get more points than the other. And most of the time that is to do what? Get a touchdown, right? Get a touchdown. Sure, you can have a field goal, but who likes field goals when you can get a touchdown, right? And so the game is all about getting touchdowns. And so the teams, they do their thing and they try to cross the field and get into the end zone and blah, blah, blah. That's the goal of the game. Now, if that's all there was, most people wouldn't like to watch football as much as they do. Because how often do people score a touchdown? Not a ton. But what do they do in American football? They have what are called first downs. So when a team is progressing across the field, even if they do 2 yards, 5 yards, 7 yards, once they hit 10 yards, they get to reset and they get 4 more chances. And recognize how the crowd reacts when their team gets a first down. Listen to that announcer, first down, right? I mean, everybody's loving it. And you're thinking, they haven't even scored yet. What are we doing? So realize that even in one of the most popular sports to watch, they have programmed this psychological thing to engage both the watchers, but also the players. Okay, the players themselves, they're getting smashed. They got tackled, they missed the ball, they hit somebody's head, and it's like, man, I can't even remember my name anymore. Those kinds of things. But once a first down happens, all of that is forgotten and they're ready to hit it again. The same thing happens to us, no matter what our goals are. If we have this success envisioned already, I have scored my touchdown. My team has won. If we already know that, then all we have to do is program first downs. And those first downs will take us to get the ultimate touchdown. So every single win that you just celebrated, no matter how small it is, that's your first down. What should you do? You shouldn't say, yeah, well, I updated my checkbook. Cool. No, you're like, yes, I did it. That is huge. Even if it's the one thing, one small thing in quotation marks, that's progress that I made in the last month, progress that I haven't made in months, maybe. And that is taking me to where I need to be. So absolutely fantastic. Well done, everybody. Let's move on to the next one.
Okay. Oh, that was such a good story. I love that about the first downs. It really is. We talked about this last month on the financial well-being series, and this is perfect for identifying and overcoming challenges. Sometimes we really do have this all or nothing mindset of, we get on a call, we get really excited. We've got two really strong speakers who are sharing a lot of really great information, and we want to make these changes in our life, and we're going to do everything right now. And going from 0 to 100 in one day is not sustainable and is not going to get you to where you actually want to go. So we talked about this last month. What I use and what's a great helper for me, and it's also been really helpful. My birthday is coming up. So I've been looking back at my past year and I've been like, whoa, I'm a whole new person. If you grow just 0.3% daily, that's less than 1%, that's like a third of 1%. If you grow 0.3% daily, and that could be changing a thought, that could be noticing that you have a habit to do a certain thing and maybe changing it once. It could be waking up on your first alarm instead of snoozing, whatever. 0.3% is very minimal, right? But if you grow 0.3% every day, over the 365 days of a year, you've grown 109%. So that means that you are an entirely new person. You have revolutionized who you are, the way that you show up. And that's where those little wins start to come in, because if we can make the good wins feel important and significant, then we'll want to do more of those. And a lot of it is around the conversation, or around the language of how you're speaking about things as well. Because if you have the language of, oh, I have to do my finances today, do you really think that you're actually going to make time out of your day to do it and that you're going to be excited to and you're going to be jazzed for it? Absolutely not. But if you are like, oh my gosh, I'm really excited to work on my finances today, or I'm ready to work on my finances today, maybe you're not excited. It's not always exciting. It's not always easy, especially if there's debt involved and other stresses. But maybe you're like, I'm ready. I'm ready to sit down. I'm ready to get focused. That's a very different energy than I have to do this. And it puts you in more of that positive, forward moving momentum. So there are a lot of common barriers to staying on track. And I feel like the biggest thing is really wanting to do too much and not allowing ourselves the space to actually just grow at a realistic pace. And I wish I had my notebook with me. It's in the other room, but I have a huge goal to reach in the next 6 to 9 months. It's going to be not the easiest goal to reach. It is financial based. And I literally sat down. I was like, it was like 9 o'clock on a Saturday night, and I'm writing down, I'm like getting all of these things that are just flowing through me. And I'm like, what's the budget? What do I need to save? What are all these things? And then I start asking myself the real questions. I'm like, what's realistic? And then I even ask myself an even deeper question of what is really realistic in the reality of the situation? Because I have the ability to I think that I spend less than I do every single month. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so good. If I actually look back at my bank statements, at what I actually spend versus what I think that I spend, I will realize that there's a different reality than my little fantasy. And those are the numbers that I actually need versus my fantastical numbers, right? So even the ability to get real with yourself is so important. And the more that you get real with yourself, the more that you stop avoiding the reality of your situation, and the more that your procrastination starts to go away, the more that your self-doubt starts to go away, the more that your competing priorities go away. And I was on a call with my financial guide yesterday, and she was like, "You need a why that's going to make you cry." And it took me a couple of minutes. And this is something that I would love for us all to take like a minute or two, start thinking about it now. You can share it in the chat if you would like to. But what's your why that makes you cry? What's the thing that pushes you? That for me, I'm not a super, super sensitive person in general. I'm not the person who cries at everything. I'm not like this big emotional person. However, I get really motivated by the frustrations of not being able to take movement in my life. So my why that would make me cry, I was like, I don't cry like that. Like I don't feel the emotions like that, but I feel the frustration of not being where I want to go. And I feel the frustration of having barriers in front of me that I'm the only one who gets to make them go away. And I feel the frustration of wanting to be where I can't be right now. And knowing that I can't be somewhere that I want to be is so painful for me. So that's my why. And my why helps me make my decisions every single day. It helps me get less distracted. It helps me stay more focused. It helps me go to sleep earlier. It helps me wake up earlier. It helps me take sometimes some of the biggest things that we have to do for our finances only take 10 to 15 minutes, but it feels so laborious. But it helps me take that 10 to 15 minutes out of my day every day to get that. So I'm curious, do you guys have a why that makes you cry? You can drop 555 in the chat just to say yes, but also if you're like, I would love to share it, please, by all means, go ahead and share your why. Oh, none of us have a why? I don't believe it. There's no way. There's no way that you're walking. Okay, cool. I'm like, there's no way you're walking throughout your life without something that really matters to you. And maybe it's your kids. Maybe it's changing your family's financial situation. Maybe it's just being more confident. Maybe it's getting that like dream car that you always wanted or something. There's so many things, right? Yeah, I'm like you. Mine doesn't make me cry, but I've got the why. Rosario, I hate that I had to come back home. It's been hard. I'm used to having my own place. I feel you. I do. And that's the thing, right? It's like if you don't get your financial situation on track, then you're going to stay exactly where you are. And that's not an option. For me, staying where I am is not an option, personally. So if you start seeing your current situation as no longer an option, you'll start making the moves needed to get to where you need to go. It's not an option. It's not an option. I've already been here. I'm going to go now. The only way to go is to start making moves and focus on your momentum, right? So having that why that makes you cry or that why that frustrates you to your freaking core is perfect because I'm not gonna cry about it, but I'm literally is sometimes it'll be 10 o'clock at night and I'm sitting at my computer, not doing work things, doing Kira things. And I'm like, oh, I'm ready. I'm ready to be where I want to go. And it's that energy of readiness. If I hated where I am right now, that wouldn't be a great place either. But the fact that I feel that readiness and that excitement to just get out of this frustration is really good and big and beautiful and important. So, yeah, if you have any challenges or if you have any other whys, please drop them in the chat. Otherwise, we're going to start dropping into a little bit of the interactive workshop side of things. Do you have anything else to add into overcoming challenges, Ben?
But yeah, let's just spend a minute on that because we've done well at celebrating wins and talking about whys, and that's super powerful. And these are things that we can dive deeper on in next week's group session. Also, this is a big why as to why you should get a guide, right? Because they can help you work through it. And here's something I want you to really think through. Sometimes we might come to events like this and we're like, well, I don't know what I'm going to learn, right? But sometimes it's not the learning necessarily. Oh, it has to be some new fantastic idea that I've never heard of before. Sometimes it's the fact that you're showing up that has you take action that gets you results. Otherwise, we're stuck in thinking mode. Yeah, I learned something and I know all the things, but I just don't do all the things. Okay, that's why your situation doesn't change. So I just want you to keep that in mind. And I want to also mention, We know these are the holiday seasons. We know it's busy. We know there's family. We know there's health. We know there's lots going on. This is an even bigger reason why the simple fact that you commit and you show up to meetings like this hour, even if you don't learn something new or you don't get the golden nugget, the fact that you're showing up and what we're going to do here in a second by filling out the form, just the fact that you fill out a form, again, takes you from thinking to doing to getting results. That's what we're doing, okay? Okay, so, well, let's spend a minute on this. Kira's going to bring up the file or the form here in a second, but we can talk positive and we can have a big reason, but sometimes it's helpful to talk about challenges that we have in common, right? We can be on the football field and say, look, I see the touchdown. I'm trying. I can run fast. I can get around people, but I just need a blocker. There's just this guy that I cannot get around. I need some help. I need some ideas. Can somebody help me? So put in the chat, what is a common challenge or even a specific challenge that you're having right now? And maybe we can talk through it and help each other for a minute. What's a challenge that comes up for you? And I know it's sometimes we just kind of think, okay, what is it? What does keep getting in the way? Because again, part of the secret to making change is awareness of what's going on and admitting what is going on. That's kind of the budget principle. I just don't want to know. Once you do know, you can do something about it. The same thing happens with challenges. If we can give it a name and say, this is what is getting in my way, then you have ultimate power over it. Until you do that, it's just this unknown being that you're like, I don't know how to move forward. Okay, this is good. So the belief that I don't have time. Yeah, that's a big one. I don't have time. I don't have time to improve my finances. I only have time to spend my money, right? And again, I'm not making fun of anybody. This is thoughts that we all have, right? We have a belief and then we have thoughts that, what's the word? Rationalize that belief. And that's why we keep it. And until we have a better option, we'll keep this limiting belief. So somebody dittoed Kira. Saying no is a challenge. And let's talk through this for a second because these are crucial things, right? And I'm just reading some other thoughts to see if we have some commonalities before I go forward. I'm going to come back to Kira real quick. Because Kimberly says, yeah, that's a good one, Kira. Not taking the time to plan and execute is my challenge. Yeah, sometimes we're just so busy, so stuck in our current habit loop that of course everything's going to stay the same. If we can take a minute, even if it's in these meetings like this, it's like, hey, you know what? I wasn't fully paying attention to what they said, but because I was here, I focused on this and I changed this. Bam, that's results. That's first down. Okay. So taking that time and simply saying, you know what? I do wonder how much I spend on DoorDash each week. And maybe I can make one change next week. Maybe on Wednesday night, instead of going out, we could try cooking out or cooking inside. Cool. What a difference, right? That's where we plan. And then to Viviana's point, that's where it makes it easy to say no, because I already have a plan. I've already thought it through. Otherwise, when we're in our routines, we already have a trigger and a response and a rationalization that says, yeah, that makes sense. I'm just going to do it and I don't want to think about it. And that's why Wednesday comes and we're like, DoorDash, that's the easy thing because I have no other option. Or when we go on Amazon, we're like, yes, Black Friday, yes, right? But again, we have that plan. We just say, look, budget, it allows me to do certain things, but I already know here's my limit and I'm okay with it. I've already decided that I'm okay with it. And even if there's an added temptation that says, oh, but really look at this sweet deal, that's amazing. Then you have a plan for that too. Let me sit on it for 24 hours. But there's a deal I can't do. You have a plan. Make sense? Then you talk to your guide. Help me talk through this, you know? This is good. Okay. Lack of motivation. There's a big one, right? Some reason. Motivation has to do with reasoning. If you have a strong enough reason, you'll make it happen. But here's something else to realize. Motivation is a very emotional thing. Sometimes we think, I got to be motivated. And that means we want to feel super excited. And yes, we do when there's a touchdown or when there's a first down. But what happens when you get sacked? I don't have motivation. That's where discipline comes in. If you have the discipline to get back up again and say, look, I know where the touchdown is. I'm going to try again, and you'll get there. Fear of failure, overwhelm, patience. It takes time and small steps. Yeah. But that's where the first down principle comes in. Again, without doing this, it's so easy to think, oh, I'm just not getting to the touchdown. All I do is get sacked. I'm even 5 yards back from where I started. This sucks. I better stop right now. But no, we focus, we get a guide, we get accountability partner, and we get that motivation back through discipline, through having our envisioned success always before us. And when we read it, we're like, hey, I'm already there. So let me focus on just moving forward instead of focusing on, I'm not there yet. That's the conversation Kira was talking about. Which conversation do you most often have in your head? Is it the I'm not there yet and here's why? Or is it the I'm getting there and here's why? That's a crucial difference. And Viviana shares, we lie to ourselves and say, after this time or just this once, and then I'll get back on it. Yeah. Excuse-itis. I'm reading about that in a few books, actually. We live by them. And we think, well, here's why it didn't work. And then we feel good about it because that's rationalization, right? And again, we all go through this. So I'm not pointing fingers. It's not, we all just have to realize what's going on. Because again, when you realize what is happening, then you can do something about it. You shine a light, you can see it, and then you can decide. Okay. So all of these things, again, if you want the specific help to talk through things, when you talk through things, guess what? The listener who's a guide can hear your thoughts. Hey, because you're speaking them out loud. And then they can help you challenge limiting beliefs. They can help you change questions that you're asking yourself. They can help you change the conversation that you're having with yourself. You're like, man, I have this goal for this financial well-being, but I just can't make it happen. Oh, check that. You said the can't word. Well, let's challenge that. Who said you can't? You go through conversations like that, and then you take baby steps. Oh, you know what? Maybe I quote unquote can't go on this vacation next year because it does cost this much. But what can you do now? Oh, I could start saving. So maybe not next February, but next August, you could go. Hey, you just turned a can't into a can. See how that happens? Anyway, we could go through that a lot. But thank you for sharing your examples of challenges, because I would imagine when somebody wrote it, you have either experienced it or you are experiencing it. So knowing that we're in this together is very helpful. Okay, I'm just seeing the time. Let's open the form, Kira. So she put it in the chat so you can open it for yourself. And this is what I want you to do. Open it for yourself because you're going to fill it in with us. I'm going to talk you through it, but I want you to fill it out with us. That can be the biggest value that you get from these next 15 minutes is if you have the form filled out, because that is action. And it's scheduling what to do next. Otherwise, all we did was have a cool conversation that we're going to forget about. Okay? So put a 1 in the chat if you have opened that link and you're ready to fill it out. A 1 in the chat if you've opened the link and ready to fill it out. Let's see those ones come on in. There you go. Perfect. Okay, they are ready, Kira. So let's move on to this, and I'm going to make my screen a little bigger. Bam, there it is. So we've talked through this, but again, I want you to write it down. And hopefully you have come with new ideas based on what we've said and what you've seen in the chat. So at the beginning, at the top, you write your envisioned success. It's that same success that you wrote on the other form. What you're doing is programming it multiple times into your head and into your body. Okay? It is December 31st, 2024, not on December 31st. I hope this happens, or I will do this. No, I've already done it. This is what my life looks like. This is how I feel about it. And Kimberly, I'm going to ask you something real quick. You shared that you went from 0 to over $400 in savings in 1 month, which is incredible. I want to ask you, tell me about how your emotions changed knowing this happened. You went from 0 in savings to now 400 plus in your savings. How does that make you feel? If you could share that in the chat, that'll be powerful for all of us. So Kimberly, share that in the chat. How do you feel? How does it make you feel now that you have 400 plus? Yeah, so excited and accomplished. And Kimberly, how does that make you feel about continuing your plan towards financial well-being? And thank you, Kimberly, for sharing, because all of us can experience this. She's sharing her emotions and she says, I am on track and doing it in small steps. So it's working, which is absolutely amazing. The same can happen for you. Okay. We don't judge whether $400 is great or small. It's the fact that it happened. It's a first down. A first down is a first down, right? It's not like, that was a small first down. No, it was a first down. And that is amazing because we could talk about what else that means. $400 now means she has a cushion so that she doesn't have to dip into credit card debt. If she has an emergency come up, she now has $400 to put towards it instead of thinking, where in the world am I going to get this money? And what does that do for your emotional well-being, your anxiety, your stress? How does that affect your family life, your work life? This is huge. All these little steps make huge progress. And so going to this form, you have your envisioned success already written down. I have $400 in my savings account. And maybe Kimberly's now going to say, I have $1,200 in my savings account. Wow, amazing, right? And then she can say, and this makes me feel absolutely on top of the world, excited, accomplished, ready to tackle the next project. She writes that down. All of you can have something similar. Once you have that down, then you move down here. And a win is a win, no matter how small. We've talked about this. It kind of sounds like Dr. Seuss, doesn't it? But write your wins or your progress this month. Whatever it is, write it. I showed up to the meeting. I put $10 in my savings account. I bought the next property. But whatever your level of financial well-being is, right? And then everything comes with a lesson. Every win comes with a lesson, and every, let's say, failure comes with a lesson. What is that lesson? I can do this. I probably should put more focus into my budget. Maybe I do need to talk to my spouse. Maybe I should book a call with a guide. What is the lesson? Yes, and Kimberly shared her goal is 1,000. So in other words, her words is, I have $1,000 in my savings account on December 31st, and she's on track. Who knows? She might surpass it, and she can share it with us. That'll be amazing. So you're putting in your wins and you're putting in your lessons learned. This is great. So let's scroll down when you can, Kira. And then keep moving forward. This is it, okay? We never look back. We never look down, okay? Down is depressed. Back is in fear. But you look forward and you say, wow, I still know where my touchdown is. I'm still going to get there. So let me find my next first down. What is that first down? What's your key action for this month? What is my first down going to be this month? I'm actually going to call that bank. I'm going to go to the bank. I'm going to cancel that subscription. I'm just going to talk to my guide, whatever it is, right? Make that a key action that you're actually going to take this month. Challenges, note the obstacles. I'm just going to use this food example again, right? Because when we think into the future, we can prepare for the future. So we say, if Wednesday night, I always do DoorDash because that's a busy time where my kids are everywhere and we're just doing carpool all night long and it's a long day at work and I have a report to turn in on Thursday and I have no time for food. Okay, there's an obstacle. So what am I going to do about it instead of hoping that something magical happens on that day? And you decide if you're like, I'm still going to do DoorDash, but instead of ordering 3 desserts, I'm going to order 1, whatever it is. Or you say, you know what, I think I can make it through by eating leftovers from last night's eating out dinner. Okay, cool. You just thought it through. Now you have a plan. So even when in the midst of the stress, you're like, I already planned to bring this snack in the car. So now the kids are happier. And then I already planned a meal that when people are home for their 7 minutes, then they can eat it. And hey, that just saved me $50. That sounds amazing, right? So note your obstacles and prepare for success instead of hope for success. And finally, what kind of support would help you? Guides, right? That accountability, so you have a 95% chance of success. What other support? Do you need reminders? Do you need a system? Do you need a program? Do you need a friend? Do you need to delete an app? Whatever it is, right? Just plan it now and take that action as soon as possible. And now you have these ideas, and then you put them to dates. You put them in your calendar because your calendar and your checkbook show what are most important to you. You ever heard that? Your calendar and your checkbook show what are most important to you. So let's put that on the action item, right? This is where you concretely show what you're truly going to do because you're committing to it. And now, if you have an accountability partner, 95% likely to actually make it happen. So again, make sure you have this form filled out, even if it's not perfect. These are baby steps. Baby steps forward are better than big steps not taken. Okay? Very good. Any questions on the form before we move on to our last subject? All right. Well, give me a 2 if this is helpful. 2 in the chat if this is helpful. There you go. Loving it. Let's turn it back to Kira so she can bring us home. Hope you're muted. There you are.
Just kidding. You all know you wanted to hear my voice and not just see my lips move. I love having these forums, and one thing that I would suggest is I'm a visual person. When I was running my business, my whole entire dashboard for my business was along a huge wall in my office. I had my habit tracker physically able to be seen. I had my daily, weekly, monthly to-dos physically able to be seen that I could cross off with a dry erase marker. I needed that dashboard. So if you're that type of person who, once you shut your computer after this, you're not going to think about the form again and you're not going to look at it, I would suggest printing it out, or if you don't have access to a printer, writing these things where you can see them. I keep my affirmations on my huge stand-up mirror in my bedroom, so I have to see it every single day. I also keep them on my phone screen as well, so I can see them every day. Super visual person. So I would highly suggest having it where you can see it, because the more times your brain sees it, whether or not you are conscious of the fact that you're seeing it, you're continuously programming it into you. And there are so many things out there that are talking about financial stress and financial shame and not having conversations. And if you can be the one determining factor in ensuring that you are going to be in a better financial situation, then I highly suggest doing that and putting yourself in a place where you have those reminders every day of where you're going and why it matters to you. So, we're going to talk about success strategies for just a couple of moments, and then we will see you on next week's exclusive group event that we have for this Connect session. So, basically, what we do with the first Connect session of each month is we come in and we give you actual tangible tips and tricks and tools for how to get to where you want to go. And then next week, it'll be me and Ben and at least one guide, and we will have breakout rooms this time. It's already been pre-set up in the back end, where you're going to be able to have more of that one-on-one individualized support of saying like, hey, this is how I filled my form out last week. How can you help me get there? Is there something that I'm not considering? This is what I'm noticing that I'm doing or not doing. And you'll have that support. That's a 30-minute call, and we'll drop the link in just a moment. But I'm curious, not concerned. I'm curious about what small actions or routines you all have put in place that have helped you stay committed to your financial goals. Because some of you may have an action or routine that someone hasn't thought of, but is going to be the key to unlock their financial success. Some of you may just have really good habits and want to reinforce that you have a great habit. So there are a lot of different ways, and I've got some suggestions as well that we can talk about, but I'm very curious about what you all are doing and what those routines are. And I have some of my own routines. One routine that I started putting in place is every time I spend money, I put it in my notes in my phone. So I know how much I'm spending money on, and it makes it easier to track my budget. Instead of going back and looking at my financial statements from months ago, I can just be like, okay, this is what I've realistically spent. So we have Saturday morning, a weekly quick scrub review of my budget. I love that. We have a budget for annual expenses monthly, so it's less of a shock when they come up once per year. Exactly. That's what I've been working on with my guide. She's like, "What expenses do you have that come up every couple of months, every 6 months, once a year, and how can you plan that into your budget on a monthly basis so that it's not a surprise when that comes up?" That's a really beautiful one, because usually they're larger expenses. And then daily study of abundance mindset and prosperity. I love it, Ben. You and I are very similar in those ways. Yeah, so we have a lot of really great habits. If you guys have any more, you can drop them in the chat. I'm going to give you a few that we thought of. Weekly budget check-ins. Literally, Chris is doing that, which is perfect. Daily savings transfers. For me, I have a weekly savings transfer. Every Wednesday, I have $10 that goes to my savings account. It's not a large amount, but at the end of the month, my savings account is going up at least $40, which is amazing. That is the teeniest, tiniest, most reasonable goal that I could do. But every time I get on a call with my guide, she's like, "Ooh, your savings went up." I'm like, "Ooh, I know." Visual goal tracker. We just had a whole conversation about visualizing things. Monthly financial goal setting. At the start of each month, I outline one financial goal, whether it's reducing expenses, saving a set amount, or investing. This keeps my efforts targeted and measurable. No spend days. What if you set one day a week where you're like, I am spending $0 this day? That could be huge for you. One thing that I did was I paid my 6-month car insurance in advance. So I got a huge discount with that. And it makes me feel so much more financially stable and secure because that bill is already taken care of for 6 months. I don't have to deal with it. It's so nice. There's also 15-minute financial learning sessions, end of the week expense review, so many things that you can do to develop more healthy habits and routines regarding your finances. I save $11 a day to my savings account without fail. That's amazing, Kimberly. I love that. So I hope that some of you are leaving this conversation feeling a little bit more motivated, a little bit more inspired. Drop 333 in the chat if you are feeling like, okay, it was a really good use of my time to hop on this call and to get this insight and to have some direction and to have some momentum and to have some motivation. Beautiful. So our goal, of course, is to keep that flowing for you. We have our exclusive group session next week that you are able to join. We highly suggest registering for that here. So I just dropped the link. If you go to our link tree, you can register for the group exclusive session, and you can also register for next month's Connect. It is December. It is holiday season. We're going to be prioritizing buying gifts and going to parties and doing whatever else. And in the midst of all of that, I highly suggest putting at least one good thing into your world that's going to get you in the direction of where you want to go, and that's going to be coming to Connect next month. So there's so much that we have going on. There's so much that we're putting forth. Our greatest goal is for you to be able to go to LifeGuides and register and have access to a guide. It's a free service, and you get to have someone help you reach your goals. And it's, LifeGuides is used really wonderfully for emotional things, but it's also used really wonderfully for actual tactical things that we need to get done in our lives and having that accountability. So the link is right there for you to register for a guide. You can select the prosperity section and start getting your budget and savings figured out, and it'll literally show you the guides who match exactly what you're looking for. We have Motivational Monday every Monday, hosted by yours truly. And we've been doing emotional intelligence all month, which has been a really cool series. And then I don't know what we're doing in December. We'll figure it out together. You guys always help me figure out what we're doing, so that's been really nice. So we have Connect. We have our exclusive group session next week. Sign up, register for it. Register for LifeGuides, get your guide. And other than that, I'll see you on Motivational Monday, hopefully. And please, please, please put that form in a place where you can see it and where you can use it and where it can be of great benefit to you. So thank you, everyone, for being here. I love the second Wednesday of every month where we get to connect with each other. I hope you have a beautiful week. I hope your finances keep getting better and better, and we will see you soon. Bye, everyone.